Hey there, all you deep divers. Like Bitcoin. Ever thought about actually, getting into it?
Well, today we are going to be diving into this episode of Blockchain DXB
From February 13, 2024.
and figuring out, is now the time to buy Bitcoin?
Yeah, that is the question, isn't it?
Really is.
It's kind of like we're trying to, solve this big puzzle, but instead of a picture at the end, it's like the future of Bitcoin.
Yeah. Are we at the bottom?
Yeah. And speaking of puzzles, this whole thing kind of starts with a head scratcher. So those U.S. inflation numbers, right?
Exactly. So the consumer price index, the CPI, jumped by 0.5%, bringing total inflation to 3%.
So you would think that Bitcoin would be going through the roof.
Yeah.
Because it's supposed to be a hedge against inflation.
Yeah, like digital gold.
Yeah. But it's actually going down.
It is.
So what's the deal with that? Well, the host of Blockchain DXB seems to think that there's a lot of panic selling going on.
Right.
And it's overshadowing Bitcoin's long-term potential.
Yeah, short-term fear.
What do you think? Is that the whole story, or is there more to it?
I mean, I think it's definitely a factor, but there is a little bit more nuance to it. A lot of cryptocurrencies out there have an unlimited supply, meaning that more can always be created.
Okay.
And that dilutes the value, right?
Right.
But Bitcoin has a fixed supply.
Uh-huh.
21 million coins. No more, no less.
Just like a limited edition.
Exactly.
A baseball card or something.
Yeah, that scarcity is what gives it value as a hedge against inflation. So it's very similar to gold in that way.
Okay, so it's like digital gold.
Digital gold.
Got it. But with all this talk about a recession and all this economic uncertainty, you'd think people would be looking for safer investments.
You would think.
Why are they panic selling?
It really seems like people are reacting emotionally to the current economic climate. They see inflation rising, they worry that their money is losing value, so they sell their Bitcoin, which drives the price down even more.
Oh, so it's like they're making it worse.
They're feeding the beast. It's a classic case of short-term fear outweighing long-term potential.
So they're letting their emotions get the best of them.
Yeah, and this creates an opportunity for those who have a longer-term perspective and believe in Bitcoin.
Okay.
It's like Warren Buffett said, be fearful when others are greedy and greedy when others are fearful.
Oh, that's some wisdom right there.
Timeless wisdom.
So for our listener who's at home, who's thinking, should I buy Bitcoin now? What are the things they should be thinking about? Is it all about how much risk they're comfortable with?
Risk tolerance is definitely key, but you also have to understand the factors that are going to influence Bitcoin's price in the future. And that's where it gets really interesting, because we're about to dive into geopolitics.
Okay, things are about to get a little turbulent.
Little rocky.
Buckle up, everybody.
You know, one thing that the Blockchain DXB host really has strong opinions about is where you shouldn't be getting your information from mainstream media.
Yeah, he does not like the mainstream media.
Not a fan.
Especially when it comes to inflation.
Yeah, he really thinks that they are manipulating the inflation numbers.
Yeah, he actually says that the only source you should trust is the Bureau of Labor Statistics website. He even suggests plugging that data straight into ChatGPT.
Oh, wow.
To get an unbiased analysis.
Use AI to cut through the noise. Huh?
Yeah. So it's like being a detective, but instead of clues, we're following the data.
The data trail.
Yeah, and sometimes that data trail can lead to some pretty surprising places, like geopolitics.
Yeah.
Remember all that stuff about Trump's peace negotiations between Russia and Ukraine?
Yeah.
And the potential for Middle East peace?
I do.
Well, the Blockchain DXB host actually sees a strong connection between those events and the future of Bitcoin.
Okay, so how does he connect those two?
Well, he argues that if those peace negotiations had actually worked,
right,
it would create a more stable global environment.
Yeah.
That would boost investor confidence.
It makes sense.
And that would increase the demand for Bitcoin.
So in a peaceful world, Bitcoin goes up.
Yeah. But he also points out another interesting connection. The U.S. dollar.
Okay.
He thinks that if the dollar strengthens because of increased global stability,
right,
that could actually help Bitcoin.
Okay, so explain that to me.
So how could a strong dollar help Bitcoin?
Right.
Well, think about it this way.
Yeah.
If the dollar is really strong, it means that other currencies are kind of weak.
Oh, okay.
And so that might make investors look for alternative assets.
Right.
Like Bitcoin.
To hedge against that.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
To protect their wealth from potential currency devaluation.
That's really interesting. So you're saying even if the world is peaceful and the dollar is strong, there could still be reasons for people to turn to Bitcoin.
Yeah, like as a safety net, no
Yeah.
matter what the global economic landscape looks like.
That's a really interesting perspective. But, we're talking about a lot of hypotheticals here. Like, the
Yeah.
world is complicated. You can't predict the future.
Nobody can predict the future.
No. And the Blockchain DXB host doesn't stop there. He also talks about how things like energy and AI are going to affect the price of Bitcoin.
Okay, that's where I think things get really interesting.
Yeah.
So AI, how does AI connect to Bitcoin?
Well, he suggests that advancements in AI could actually indirectly benefit Bitcoin.
Go.
For example, they could use AI to develop more efficient mining algorithms,
Oh, okay.
which would reduce the energy consumption.
So it would make it more sustainable?
Exactly, yeah. And it would also lower the cost of mining.
Interesting. Okay, what about energy itself? How does that tie into all of this?
Well, he basically just says that as we develop cheaper, renewable energy sources,
Right.
that's going to bring down the cost of mining even further.
Okay, so cheaper and cleaner energy equals cheaper Bitcoin mining, which means the Bitcoin could be more accessible
Exactly.
to more people.
And the masses.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like this chain reaction of innovation.
It is.
Okay, so it's not just about technology. The blockchain DXB host also talked about regulation a lot. And specifically, he thinks that changes in diplomatic relations, like easing sanctions on certain countries,
Yeah.
could really impact the regulatory landscape for crypto.
Absolutely, because regulation can make or break any industry, and crypto's no different.
Yeah, that's a good point. But is the host optimistic about the future of Bitcoin, given all these factors?
I mean, he's optimistic about its potential, but he definitely throws in some caution, too.
Okay.
He reminds listeners that crypto is volatile
Oh, yeah.
and unpredictable. He even talks about like a worst-case scenario where Tether, the largest stablecoin, collapses.
The stablecoin collapsing, what would that even look like? Why would that be bad?
Well, a stablecoin is like a digital version of the dollar, right?
Yeah.
It's designed to maintain a stable value.
Okay.
But imagine if that digital dollar suddenly lost its peg to the real dollar and became worth a lot less.
Oh, okay.
It would be chaos.
Like a run on the bank.
Exactly. But in the digital world,
Sounds messy.
it would be messy. So, there's definitely potential pitfalls to watch out for.
Yeah. There's a lot to think about.
There is.
All right, well, let's shift gears a little bit and talk about some specific developments from the SEC.
Okay.
What are they up to?
Well, for starters, they're kind of rethinking their stance on meme coins.
Meme coins. Those are the joke cryptocurrencies that somehow
They sometimes blow up.
become
Yeah.
super popular.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
Dogecoin.
Dogecoin, yeah. They're kind of concluding that meme coins fall outside their jurisdiction.
Wait, so the government might not regulate meme coins?
That's what it sounds like.
So it's just like the Wild West out there.
It kind of is, and it raises a lot of questions, like who will regulate them? Will Congress have to step in and create new laws?
Yeah.
And what does it mean for, like, the more established cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin?
Right.
Could this be the beginning of, like, the meme coin era, where they dominate the market?
Meme coins taking over. Well, that's a future I did not see coming.
It's a possibility.
But really, though, this lack of clear regulation, I mean, it's exciting in a way, but it's also kind of risky because it could lead to innovation, but it could also lead to a lot of scams.
Absolutely. It's a double-edged sword.
All right, well, speaking of complicated situations, the Blockchain DXB host also gets into the whole SEC versus Binance saga
Yeah.
that's been going on for a while. What's the latest?
The latest is that they've decided to kind of put it on hold for 60 days.
Okay.
Because they're forming a new SEC crypto task force.
A task force. What is a task force going to do?
Well, they've specifically created it with the goal of supporting cryptocurrency adoption.
So they're not fighting it anymore. They're trying to work with it.
Yeah, it seems like it.
Is the U.S. government finally, like, warming up to crypto?
I mean, this is definitely a positive sign. It suggests that they want to collaborate instead of, butt heads.
Mhm.
But, actions speak louder than words, so we'll have to see what they actually do.
It's like a ceasefire.
Who
But will it lead to lasting peace?
knows?
Okay. Before we wrap up this part of our deep dive, I want to switch gears completely
Okay.
and talk about the Middle East.
Specifically Saudi Arabia.
Right.
They've been making a lot of moves in the tech world lately.
They have. The Blockchain DXB host was really excited about this $5 billion deal for a data center in NEOM.
$5 billion.
$5 billion. It's this futuristic mega city project that they're building.
So it's not just any data center.
No, it's like a hub for AI and cloud computing, and they want to bring in talent from all over the world.
Wow. $5 billion.
Huh?
It seems like they're really serious about becoming like a global leader in technology.
They are.
But why are they so focused on AI and cloud computing? What's the strategy there?
Well, it's all part of their Vision 2030 plan.
Vision 2030.
Vision 2030.
Okay.
So they want to diversify their economy beyond oil and become a tech leader.
They're trying to like build a Silicon Valley in the desert.
Basically, yeah.
Wow. So how does this all connect back to Bitcoin?
That's a great question, and that's what we're going to talk about in the final part of our deep dive. Okay, stay tuned, everybody. Welcome back, everybody, to the deep dive. We've been talking all about Bitcoin, from inflation to geopolitics to meme coins and Saudi Arabia even.
It's been quite a journey, hasn't it?
Yeah.
It really shows how everything's kind of interconnected.
Yeah, it's all connected.
Like one big web.
Yeah. And speaking of interconnectedness, right before the break, we were talking about that $5 billion data center that Saudi Arabia is investing in. They're going all in on AI, cloud computing, all that stuff.
They are?
But I'm still trying to wrap my head around, like, how does that connect to Bitcoin and crypto?
Well, it's not a direct connection, but think of it this way. If you want any technology to be successful, you need good infrastructure.
Right.
Data centers are like the backbone of the internet.
Right.
They provide the computing power, the storage, for everything from like online gaming to scientific research.
So they're creating a foundation
Exactly.
for all kinds of innovation.
Yeah, and that includes blockchain technology.
So by investing in these really advanced data centers, Saudi Arabia is basically creating like a fertile ground for crypto to grow.
They are. And don't forget, they're attracting some of the smartest people in the world to come work there.
Yeah, that's true.
That's going to lead to breakthroughs in, blockchain technology, which will help Bitcoin.
It's like they're planting a seed that's going to grow into like this whole ecosystem of innovation.
Yeah.
Maybe someday we'll be talking about Bitcoin Riyadh.
You never know.
Right, alongside Bitcoin DXB.
Mm.
Okay, well, before we get too carried away talking about the future, I think it's good to take a step back and think about what we've learned today.
Yeah. What are the key takeaways?
Yeah. For me, one of the big ones was that advice to like really seek out primary sources of information.
Oh, absolutely.
Don't just trust the headlines.
Do your own research.
Especially in the crypto world.
Especially in the crypto world.
There's so much misinformation out there.
So much hype.
Yeah. You really got to be careful.
Think for yourself.
Be a detective. Use the internet as your magnifying glass.
There you go.
Speaking of which, remember when the blockchain DXB host was talking about market manipulation?
I do.
He was saying that some people might be using their knowledge of like upcoming economic data releases to their advantage.
Yeah. Trying to game the system.
That's kind of scary.
It is a little bit, yeah.
Like the crypto market is not immune to that.
No, market is.
Yeah. Okay, and what about the meme coin era?
Oh, yeah.
That was a wild concept. Like these joke cryptocurrencies could actually become like
a driving force.
The dominant force.
Who would have thought?
It's unpredictable out there.
It is.
You got to be adaptable, open-minded. You got to keep learning.
The crypto space changes so fast.
Yeah, constantly evolving.
Always evolving.
And I think the blockchain DXB host really hit on something important. Education.
Yeah, he's very passionate about this.
He wants everyone to understand this stuff, not just the techie people.
It's all about accessibility.
Right. It's not just about making money. It's about creating a system that's fair and accessible to everyone.
Yeah, democratizing finance.
Exactly. Okay, well, before we sign off for today, I want to leave our listeners with something to think about.
All right. I like to end with a thought-provoking question.
Okay, Diddy.
Imagine a world where, we achieve world peace.
Okay.
No more wars, no more conflict, global cooperation.
It's a beautiful thought.
It is. How would that change money? How would it change technology?
Yeah. Would Bitcoin still be important in a world like that?
Would its purpose change?
Would we see different cryptocurrencies emerge?
Ones focused on, collaboration and sustainability?
It really makes you think. The future of money is not just about technology.
No, it's about the world we want to live in.
Yeah. And that's a question for all of us to ponder.
Absolutely. No easy answers.
But the journey is the reward.
Keep learning, keep asking questions.
There you go. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive, everybody.
We'll see you next time.